Ace News. I'm Allie Riley.
And I'm Colleen Dranginas. Today we're bringing you a special feature newscast on Bastille Day, in honor of the 100th anniversary of this historic day.
Let's check in with French expert Eva Kravchuk-Vallejo about the events on the actual day.
Thanks, Allie. On July 14, 1789, angry crowds of revolutionaries charged through the streets of Paris towards the Bastille, one of Louis XIV's famous prisons. Earlier in the day, the Parisian rioters had stormed the Hotel des Invalides and seized firearms and cannons. These weapons required gunpowder, and it just so happened that guns and gunpowder were stored inside the Bastille. So the mobs marched to the Bastille in the hopes of taking the ammunition that would be vital to their success in the revolution. Bernard de Launay was the military governor of the prison at the time. Having heard about the rioters, he asked for extra reinforcements, including 30 Swiss guards to help protect the Bastille. He ordered for all drawbridges to be raised, as he anticipated that the crowd would be large. On the morning of July 14th, a group of 900 citizens and rebelling soldiers surrounded the prison, carrying muskets, swords, and other weapons. At 10 a.m., two of the revolutionary leaders were let inside of the prison to negotiate with Launay. However, no compromise was reached, and Launay refused to allow the revolutionaries to take the gunpowder unless he received authorization from the king. Later, Launay received a second delegation and promised not to open fire on the crowd. To convince them, he even showed that his cannons were unloaded. But this only encouraged men to climb over the walls of the prison and lower one of the drawbridges. 300 revolutionaries rushed inside the prison, and Launay's men took a defensive position but did not fire. The restless crowd attempted to lower a second drawbridge, and Launay's men responded by firing at the crowd and killed and wounded about 100 people. Chaotic fighting continued between Launay's men and the revolutionaries for a couple of hours. At 3 p.m., more rebelling members from the French army arrived at the Bastille with 5 cannons that they aimed at the prison. Launay realized that resisting a long siege would not be possible, and so he attempted to negotiate a surrender with the crowd. However, the crowd did not accept, and Launay was dragged out into the streets and killed. The revolutionaries were able to successfully capture the guns and gunpowder that they desired, and even free 7 prisoners. This day is ultimately remembered as the beginning of the French Revolution, but we'll hear more about why later. Thanks, and back to you guys.
Thank you, Eva, for refreshing us on the events of the day. Now we welcome Abigail Hunt, an expert on French holidays.
Thank you for having me on your show, Colleen and Allie.
So tell us, Abigail, what were some major events that caused this day to occur?
Well, for the years leading up to Bastille Day, there had been much anger between the 3 major social classes, or estates. The first estate being the clergy, the second the nobility, and the third the poor, shopkeepers, and middle class. Members of the third estate were upset because laws were being created just for the benefit of the nobility, and also tax rates were extremely high, meaning it was impossible for poor citizens to work their way out of poverty or create a reasonable lifestyle for themselves. What was possibly most upsetting was the fact that the tax money went towards the creation of palaces for the French kings. Events such as the American Revolution showed the people of France that they could rebel against their government, and the Enlightenment helped the people of France have some new ideas, and French authors began to create writings about the errors in France's governmental system. These occurrences, combined with the poor conditions, are what led to this revolution in France.
Was there anyone who tried to go against Louis and the monarchy before Bastille Day?
Actually, there was. A man by the name of Jacques Necker, the finance minister of Louis XVI, was sympathetic to the Third Estate, saying that they should double the representation of the Third Estate in order to satisfy the people. He was dismissed on July 11th, however, which angered the people of France, provoking the storming of Bastille. Then, on June 17th, the Third Estate broke from the Estates General and formed the National Assembly. On June 20th, the organizers went to a tennis court and decided that they would continue to get together until a new constitution for France had been established.
Thank you for your input, Abigail. We'll see you again in February when we discuss National Crepe Day.
Thanks for having me.
Colleen, did you know the invasion of the Bastille marks the unofficial beginning of the French Revolution? It was also a symbol to the people of France. As a building run by the government, the Bastille symbolized the monarchy. When they overcame it, it symbolized revolution, triumph, and the end of the king's rule.
You know, and because it was so symbolic to the people, it provided the momentum necessary for them to end the ancien regime, which was the political and social system of the time. The monarch was officially destroyed in 1792, and the king and queen were sent to the guillotine in 1793. The revolution introduced ideas of liberty, equality, fraternity, and human civil rights to not only France, but the rest of the world as well. This revolution inspired rebellions in other nations, such as Haiti, Latin America, Russia, and East Asia. It inspired the rest of Europe to embrace democracy as its political system, and feudalism was abolished. The rebellion spread to many French-occupied lands, such as Santo Domingue. Jobs became based on talent instead of social standing as well.
That is interesting. Thanks, Colleen. That's all the time we have for today, folks. Be sure to tune in next week to Ace News,
when we're discussing frog legs.
This is Allie
and Colleen
signing off.